The episode, The Green Tentacle, is quite the new one. It actually isn't even out in America yet, but that's just how hard Cartoon Corey goes for you, and I've already found a bunch of Easter eggs in this episode. But let's get into the plot, that way all of the Easter eggs and facts actually make sense. But yeah, on a sunny day in Bikini Bottom, Sandy is enjoying a refreshing glass of this iced tea right here in her tree dome when a familiar insect flutters by. Longtime fans will recognize this butterfly as it's the very same one that startled SpongeBob back in the series' second episode, Tea at the Tree Dome.
There's no water in here.
Years later, like 25 plus years later in The Green Tentacle, this cute little creature makes a brief cameo here in this episode, making for a really cool nod to the past. And just saying this isn't like a random butterfly, if we do a side-by-side, we can see that the butterfly's distinctive orange wings with these black spots make it very clear that, you know, it's the same butterfly. It's a tiny detail, but a rewarding Easter egg for those of us who are massive SpongeBob nerds, especially of the first season. But this peaceful moment doesn't last. Sandy wakes up to be horrified when she discovers that her prized oak tree is suddenly withering, shredding leaves at an alarming rate. This thing is dying. It's cooked. Desperate to save it, she enlists help from SpongeBob, and eventually Squidward, who, as we've seen before, fancies himself as a bit of a gardener. Of course, Squidward agrees, but only after Sandy strokes his ego by calling him the best gardener in Bikini Bottom. And this in itself isn't necessarily an Easter egg, but it's some really cool continuity, and it directly references episodes like SpongeBob You're Fired, or Mermaid Pants, or Bunny Hunt, where we see that Squidward is really into gardening. So really cool. But this sets the stage for Squidward to join in on the plot and help with the situation. Hopefully he can save Sandy's tree. What follows is Squidward's over-the-top, pretty much manic approach to tree healing. He transforms the tree dome into a Zen garden, complete with meditation sessions to the sound of his clarinet. As night falls, Squidward's determination morphs into obsession. He literally slips into like a manic state. Now at one point, we see him manically striking a large gong with a mallet in this clip right here.
The process. The process. The process.
Which instantly rang a bell for me at least, no pun intended, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys, as it mirrors a scene from the classic episode Fear of a Krabby Patty, where Mr. Krabs frantically pounds on a cowbell in a similar fashion.
Day 23! Give it up for day
6,654.
Day 30!
Now, this homage isn't frame perfect, but the frenzied energy and timing make it that it's a pretty clear inspiration. Also, just saying, Squidward becoming so crazy in this episode is very funny. He reminds me of myself when I forget to take my ADHD medication. But yeah, by morning, Sandy's patience wears thin. When she confronts Squidward about his chaotic methods, he snaps, kicking Sandy out of her own tree dome. And this is where we can find more Easter eggs and facts and references to older episodes. The next day, SpongeBob and Sandy sneak back in, and to their amazement, the tree is green again, but it comes with a bit of a catch. At first glance, it looks like Squidward has succeeded. The branches are full of broad green, quote-unquote, leaves, but a closer look reveals that these are not leaves. Squidward has plastered the tree with pieces of his own paintings, cutting them into leaf shapes and essentially turning the oak tree into an art project. This is a very Squidward solution, just saying. I mean, if nature won't cooperate, right, why not replace it with art, especially his art that he made? But forget about all of that, let's talk about the multiple Easter eggs in this one scene, as many of the leaves are actually fragments of Squidward's past artworks seen in older episodes. And the first one that I think we all will recognize is the infamous bold and brash painting, which can be seen right here. Originally from season 2's Artist Unknown, Bold and Brash is the abstract portrait of Squidward that he once tried to sell to an art collector. This guy right here, Monty P. Moneybags. And I mean, who could forget Monty's scathing critique?
How about this one? I call it bold and brash.
More like belongs in the trash!
Sorry, I must have missed that one.
Don't worry, I'm gonna talk about more Easter eggs in this episode, as there's multiple other portraits here that reference older episodes. But just saying, I'm actually considering doing a full video, like doing a deep dive, like an insane deep dive into Squidward's portraits, because Squidward's actually a really good artist. But anyways, this painting right here, Bold and Brash, appears in the green tentacle, and it's an awesome Easter egg. But it's also a little heartbreaking. I mean, Squidward in his derangement has literally torn up all of his masterpieces to save a tree. So one has to wonder, is Bold and Brash canonically destroyed now? I mean, I really hope not. But actually, Bold and Brash isn't the only piece of artwork that we can see during that shot. As you can see, and I'm circling all of them, there's a bunch of other portraits here. And a couple of them are also references to other portraits we've seen in previous SpongeBob episodes. They're Easter eggs. For example, I was able to spot this one right here, and I just want to say this isn't on the SpongeBob wiki, I found this on my own. But there's this blue background self-portrait of Squidward right here, where he has one normal eye and one like red bloodshot eye, I guess. It's a very funky art style, but if it looks familiar, it's because we've seen this exact same portrait before. Many times actually, but a good example is that it was one of the many paintings Squidward carted into the Krusty Krab during the season 10 episode Out of the Picture. And that episode, Squidward tried to sell a whole gallery of his art, and this blue background portrait was clearly one of his personal favorites on display. Here's a side-by-side, and they're definitely the same painting or portrait, right? The animator's decision to include it here is honestly a deep cut reference, and it shows their attention to detail, because if you really think about it, they could have put like any random painting here. They could have just doodled some random stuff, but they specifically chose established Squidward art. And this has actually been an ongoing thing. I noticed while researching this section that in the modern day, I just hit my microphone, but in the modern day of SpongeBob, right? A lot of Squidward's portraits are consistent. Like when they're referenced, they'll be other portraits we've seen. For example, if we look at all the portraits seen in Out of the Picture, and then we look at the episode Chatterbox Gary, a lot of them line up. But anyways, there's actually another reference in the green tentacle in the form of another portrait during the exact same frame. It's this one right here. And it's an even stranger portrait of Squidward drawn in a surreal art style with like an extra eye on his forehead. He's also cut in half and mirrored on the bottom of the portrait. I'm zooming in on it, it's this one right here. And well, this one is also a reference. As if we head back to Out of the Picture, we'll find a very similar portrait right here. They seem to be color variants of each other, but as we can see side by side, it's the same. On top of this, there's another painting back in the green tentacle in that same frame that stands out. It's this like tiki inspired painting of Squidward's face, and this one might trigger memories from a more recent episode, as it's a reference to Chatterbox Gary from season 11, where Gary acquires a collar that translates his meow into speech, which is actually pretty cool. Imagine giving like your dog or your goldfish like some device and they could talk to you. I know my dog would just beg for treats all the time. But yeah, back in that episode Chatterbox Gary, Squidward proudly shows off a secret room in his house filled floor to ceiling with self-portraits. And one of the pieces visible in Squidward's gallery is identical to the one I just mentioned in the green tentacle. The fact that it reappears here is again a fun shout out to Chatterbox Gary and underscores just how vast Squidward's crazy art collection really is. And again, realistically, the storyboard artists could have doodled up some random modern art for this scene, but instead they pulled from Squidward's established catalog. Because this dude has a lineup of paintings, man, he has a lot. But let's keep it going with even more Easter eggs. Ultimately, the crisis in the green tentacle is resolved in a very SpongeBob-esque way. SpongeBob innocently muses that it's a shame that they can't just ask the tree what's wrong, which gives Sandy a very clever idea. She creates like literally a device that lets the tree talk to them. And this reveals that the tree isn't actually sick at all. It simply has something heavy pressing on its roots. And that's Sandy's truck right here. I don't know why she parked her truck on her tree, but I also think it's hilarious that Sandy drives a truck because she's like a Texan. I mean, this technically isn't an Easter egg or even a reference, but it's some really cool continuity, and it's very fitting for Sandy's character if you think about it. Like, look at this truck. It just screams redneck Texan. But Sandy knows the issue now, she fixes it, and the tree perks up, healthy as ever. Squidward, now coming to his senses, realizes that he's destroyed all of his paintings for nothing. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode in terms of Easter eggs. But again, I do want to say, I wonder if Squidward's paintings, like all of them, are canonically destroyed now. It's a cartoon, so I doubt it. SpongeBob is very selective with their continuity, so who knows? I'm sure the paintings will pop up again in another episode, but we'll just have to wait and see. In the meantime though, let's head over to another episode and talk about more Easter eggs. But real quick guys, I just want to say thank thank you so much for all the support, guys. This channel's growing like really well and I'm very happy. And it's all thanks to you guys and I'm genuinely thankful. I'm not just saying this, I'm very, very thankful. And to anyone who's new, I just want to say I'm one of the only SpongeBob sleep channels on YouTube that uses no AI. There is no AI in my content whatsoever. Don't worry, I'm gonna shut up to all of my regular viewers. I know you guys have to hear this every video, but if you're new, please subscribe. I cover lots of Easter eggs, facts, and mistakes in SpongeBob, and I put a lot of time and effort into it, and there's no AI. So please subscribe. We're almost at 10K. The episode, The Abrasive Side, opens on a busy morning in downtown Bikini Bottom, where SpongeBob is waiting for the bus to meet Patrick so they can take their trip over to Glove World. Right away, his overly nice nature gets him in trouble. A line forms at the bus stop, and SpongeBob's willingness to let others cut in front of him leaves him stuck at the very back, missing bus after bus. It's actually a really funny gag. No matter how much our favorite Sponge tries, he just cannot catch the bus. Well, among the crowd of pushy fish waiting with him, attentive fans might spot a surprisingly obscure character making a bit of a comeback. This dude right here, this guy, the green, big-chinned businessman, Howard Blandy. If we rewind, Blandy first appeared way back in season 4's Selling Out. And in that episode, he's a wealthy mogul who actually buys out the Krusty Krab and ruins the entire company once he turns it into Krabby-O Mondays, selling synthetic patties, fake Krabby Patties, and just turning it into a greedy corporate machine. Like if you think Mr. Krabs is greedy, this guy's a lot. But yeah, this reference or Easter egg is a deep cut, considering Blandy hasn't been seen in ages. So seeing him casually waiting for the bus in The Abrasive Side is a cool bit of continuity. I guess he's a part of, you know, the SpongeBob universe now. But only rarely, like this dude only rarely pops up. But back to the episode, as this entire bus stop sequence feels like a wink to veteran viewers like myself, as there's a bunch of cool little callbacks going on here. For one, SpongeBob repeatedly misses the bus due to constant distractions and delays, a scenario that's pretty similar to Rock Bottom, right? If we rewind to that episode in Rock Bottom, SpongeBob found himself stuck in this like weird deep sea town, and every time he tried to go home and get the frick out of there, he'd miss the bus at this bus stop right here. The Abrasive Side plays a similar gag here, especially when SpongeBob's trying to help his grandmother. There's even like a very similar camera angle. It's when SpongeBob goes to cross the street to get his grandmother, and just as he crosses the street in the background, we see him miss the bus. This is extremely similar to when SpongeBob tries to cross the street in Rock Bottom to get candy from the vending machine, but just as he crosses it, the same thing happens, he misses the bus. And just saying, I found this reference on my own. I didn't use the wiki. Now, this may not be like a direct copy, but the comedic timing and SpongeBob constantly just not being able to catch the damn bus somewhat mirror that earlier episode. One distraction in particular is Grandma SquarePants. And look, in modern SpongeBob, this probably doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but back in season 7, which is when The Abrasive Side came out, this was Grandma SquarePants' like third time being seen like in person. So if we like rewind to like 2009, okay, when the season premiered, pretend it's 2009 right now. The iPod Touch just came out. Lil Wayne is like the most popular rapper in the world. At the time, this was a really cool like reference. Wasn't an Easter egg, but it was an awesome, rare appearance of SpongeBob's grandma, who's a very nostalgic character, honestly. Another thing that distracts SpongeBob and causes him to miss the bus again is Mr. Krabs and Pearl. We can see that there's this shoe store right beside the bus stop and learn that Mr. Krabs and Pearl are inside and they're in the middle of like a father-daughter shopping trip. Or rather, Pearl is enthusiastically trying on shoes, while Mr. Krabs is having a heart attack over the prices, as he eventually comes out and distracts SpongeBob by asking him to go into the store and break the news to Pearl that Mr. Krabs can't afford to buy her the pair of shoes that she wants. And what happens next is a really cool callback to the episode The Chaperone. When SpongeBob delivers the news, Pearl explodes into tears, literally. So much so that her tears flood the entire store. This is almost shot for shot what Pearl did back in The Chaperone during its opening scene, where she similarly flooded the Krusty Krab with her crying.
Don't cry, love. Daddy's gonna make it all right. Calm down, girl.
Now, all of these mishaps serve as a narrative purpose to highlight just how much SpongeBob's kindness pretty much like screws him over all the time, and how much people abuse his kindness, to be honest. And this leads to him getting an abrasive side, a product that Gary orders for him, like talk about a good pet, that sticks onto SpongeBob just like a regular kitchen sponge and gives him like a rough surface. Just saying, I think that this is like a really funny plot point. Like if we look at a real kitchen sponge, it does have an abrasive side. I don't think we need to dive into that too much, but just it's kind of funny. But I mention all of this because it leads to the next bit of trivia I want to talk about here. Eventually, abrasive SpongeBob, with his new rude attitude, goes into the Krusty Krab. And Mr. Krabs barks at him, telling him to get to work. However, abrasive SpongeBob is not having it and claims that he'll only work if Mr. Krabs pays him overtime. This leads to Mr. Krabs being very confused, as if he's never heard the word before. He even grabs like a dictionary to search up the word, and once he sees the meaning, he's like flabbergasted. But there's an issue here. This is kind of a continuity error, as there's no way that Mr. Krabs, out of all people, would not know what this word means. And there's examples of this. If we go back to the episode Enemy-in-Law, Mr. Krabs very clearly understood the concept of not paying SpongeBob overtime. He literally says the word overtime in the episode.
SpongeBob, you're working late tonight. No overtime.
So yeah, Mr. Krabs definitely knows what that word means. What I think happened here is whoever wrote this episode just wasn't familiar with this, SpongeBob lore. Saying that out loud sounds crazy, but there is SpongeBob lore. And whoever wrote this gag needs to educate themselves on it, all right? I'm not proud of it, but I'm like an expert of SpongeBob lore at this point. It's not something I'm gonna like brag to my girlfriend's parents about, but I know my shit. I know my stuff. And so should the writers, but this is a pretty old episode, so let's move on to another Easter egg or another bit of trivia. Also, something I want to point out about this scene that is really good, consistent like character is Mr. Krabs' bookshelf. As if you look, it's all like self-help, finance bro books. You know what I'm talking about? You know the type of dude I'm talking about. All of them are self-help books, and this is just very fitting for Mr. Krabs. Let's get into what happens after this scene though, because there's still more Easter eggs and references I want to talk about. As with abrasive SpongeBob on the loose, no one in Bikini Bottom is safe from his sass, and we encounter Squidward next, who, as you can imagine, is shocked to hear that SpongeBob doesn't want to talk to him and is very rude to him. Well, abrasive SpongeBob is, at least. In fact, abrasive SpongeBob states that not even all of the money hidden in Mr. Krabs' mattress could convince him to spend time with Squidward. Well, this line is actually a really cool continuity reference to season 4's The Lost Mattress. As in that episode, we learn that Mr. Krabs literally hoards his cash by stuffing it into his mattress, which became a plot point when SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward replaced it.
My money was in that mattress!
What? Haven't you ever heard of a bank?
No!
If I remember correctly, Mr. Krabs literally goes into a coma over losing his money, but SpongeBob clearly remembers this incident as he directly references it with that line, which is really cool. It's a deep cut though, like you have to remember that episode to even catch this reference. Eventually, SpongeBob's friends realize something is seriously wrong, and Sandy rips the abrasive side off of him. And this is where we can find another Easter egg. SpongeBob heads over to his grandmother's house to apologize, and if we look in her kitchen, we can see this plate of freshly baked cookies right here, which is another awesome reference, this time to Grandma's Kisses. As if you guys remember, a big plot point in that episode is SpongeBob not wanting to be a kid or a baby anymore. He wants to be an adult. And this means that one of the things he has to say goodbye to is his grandmother's famous freshly baked cookies, with Patrick getting to eat them instead.
Thanks, Grandma. Grandma, could you not mention this to the guys down at the Krusty Krab?
No problem.
Dude, the cookies are just making me really hungry, so let's move on to another episode and talk about more Easter eggs. Next up is Squid Defense, and this one has a really weird Easter egg. Before we get into that though, I want you to take a look at some of these funny moments of Squidward learning karate. It's hilarious. We're gonna get right into the Easter egg afterwards, so stay tuned.
It is me, a big scary miscreant.
Take this! Hee-yah! Think that's gonna stop me? Hey-yah!
Okay, it's Easter egg time, baby. Roll the footage. This one's very obscure.
Come on, Squiddy, give it the old roundhouse.
All right. Hi-yah! Come back!
So this right here is the Slug Buddy punching bag, alright? It might seem like an insignificant background object or something like that. It first appeared back in the episode The Great Snail Race. In this clip right here, take a look.
Come on, Gary, move it! Up, down, 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 down! Faster, faster, faster! Go, go, go!
It then appeared later on in the episode The Way of the Sponge when SpongeBob is trying to get his black belt. Take a look at this clip. And this is where the Easter egg comes in, as it just randomly appears in Squid Defense in this scene. I already showed you guys the scene, but there it is, the Slug Buddy punching bag right there. Really cool that it reappeared again randomly in this scene. They could have used any punching bag, but I don't think it's a coincidence that they used this one with this design. It's 100% a callback. Anyways though, we have seen many superheroes and supervillains throughout SpongeBob, mainly due to there being so many Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episodes. I love them, some of my favorite episodes. A lot of them have stuck around, for example the Dirty Bubble or Man Ray, but there have been a lot that have just disappeared. One often forgotten supervillain is the evil Jumbo Shrimp, who made his first appearance in Season 1's Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2. Since his debut, he's made a few more appearances, but they've been far and few apart. That is, until the Season 11 episode, Squid Noir, as Jumbo Shrimp appears as a poster and an action figure in near mint comic books. It's pretty cool. So this next one could possibly be a coincidence, so let me know what your personal opinion is in the comments. Now these were awesome, but they've got nothing on the Easter eggs in Squidiot box.
Oh, not bad. A jungle safari could be fun.
When Squidward imagines himself in a safari outfit, this is actually a reference as he wears the same safari outfit that he wore in Yellow Pavement. Well, the hat's the same, so this one might be a reach. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's kind of similar. Next up is the episode Squidward's Sick Days from Season 13. And in this one, Squidward ends up faking being sick just so he doesn't have to go to work, which is very Squidward. He's a very lazy guy sometimes. Just as you can imagine, this doesn't go as planned, and Mr. Krabs sends a certain somebody to look after Squidward.
Oh, you are in no condition to be alone. That's why I brought you some help. Take one of these and call me in the morning.
The doctor is in.
Now there's actually quite a few Easter eggs in this episode, but for them to make sense, I gotta give you guys some context. So at the start of this episode, it's Squidward at work, and as you can see, he isn't having a very good time. Everyone's yelling at him, but it turns out that this is a nightmare. However, during the nightmare, he actually makes a certain face that is a reference to an older episode. For example, take a look at this clip right here. This face right here that Squidward makes when he screams is almost identical to this face that he made in the episode Graveyard Shift.
The sash ringing! The flash singing! The bash pinging!
The hair-slinging slasher.
Here's a side-by-side, and let me know in the comments. I think that this was a pretty clear reference, or maybe it was just a happy accident. But either way, it's really cool. And if we fast forward a little bit, we'll get to this scene in the episode where Squidward is fantasizing about the perfect day, which includes him diving into a beautiful waterfront, jumping off of a waterfall, and along the way, we see his favorite snack. These right here are bonbons, and this is another reference. This bonbon snack first appeared in the episode Good Neighbors during this scene right here, and they're actually one of Squidward's favorite snacks. They're more of like a luxury treat, it seems.
This is gonna be a heavenly day. Oh, I almost forgot. Bonbons. Hello there, heaven's little wonder.
So yeah, it's cool to see them in Squidward's daydream. He really likes bonbons. I wanna try a bonbon right now. But before I can do that, I gotta finish this video, so let's do some more Easter eggs from this episode. Well, before an Easter egg, here's a very weird fun fact I found out while researching this video, and that's that in the original storyboards for this episode, SpongeBob was going to paint a painting and give it to Squidward, and it was going to feature SpongeBob and Squidward standing behind a heart of love. Now this was drawn drawn by storyboard revisionist Dylan Houston King. And when he posted it on Instagram, he included a certain tag, that being SquidBob, which is actually a reference to the character shipping of SpongeBob and Squidward, which pretty much features SpongeBob and Squidward in a romantic relationship. So I'm just pointing out that one of these storyboard artists literally referenced this, not in the show, but on their personal Instagram. So I thought I'd point that out. It's kind of funny. But back to the Easter eggs, as throughout this episode, SpongeBob helps, quote unquote helps. He doesn't really do a good job, but he tries to help Squidward feel better. And by the end of the episode, when he returns to work, Squidward goes through a bit of a transformation, as look.
I used to be sick of everything, but I'm not sick anymore. I've been plagued by toxins and stress built up over the years at this job, but SpongeBob washed those away.
As you can see, Handsome Squidward makes a reappearance in this episode. Handsome Squidward first appeared back in the episode The Two Faces of Squidward, where his face got all messed up and then he became beautiful. He actually looks very handsome. And it seems that the animators or writers intentionally referenced this at the ending of this episode. And there's actually a nice touch here, as this is like a double entendre, all right? This is like a double Easter egg. As if you look, Handsome Squidward has long blonde hair. And this itself is a callback to another episode of the original Fry Code, where Squidward had long hair in the past until he lost it on the day that Jim quit working at the Krusty Krab. So yeah, 2 references in one, and that's really, really cool. One last fact I'm gonna mention before we wrap up this episode is that there's some reused audio here, as Patrick's scream when he falls from the window is actually reused from the episode Farmer Bob. Here's a side-by-side, here's the scream from Squidward's Sick Days.
Now to get rid of the other monkey on my back.
And here's the scream from Farmer Bob. And as you can see, they reused the same scream. It's not a big deal, but yeah, let's keep it moving. More Easter eggs. Our next Easter egg can be found in the episode Squirrel Jelly, but it revolves around the season 1 episode Jellyfish Hunter. This episode is pretty messed up, with Mr. Krabs sending SpongeBob to collect jellyfish jelly so he can sell it as a condiment at the Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs completely abuses the situation and creates a factory for the jellyfish. It's really sad. One of the characters we're introduced to in this episode is Friend, aka No Name, a larger jellyfish that SpongeBob has a bond with. Now, since Jellyfish Hunter, we haven't seen this character. However, in the episode Squirrel Jelly, near the end of the episode, Friend can be seen in the background, thus making for an awesome reference or callback to an iconic episode. So in the season 13 episode, There Will Be Grease, Plankton and Mr. Krabs are forced to work together after discovering a well of miracle grease under their restaurants. They both have their own intentions with the grease. Mr. Krabs wants to use it to improve the Krusty Krab menu, while one of Plankton's uses would be to use the grease as lube for killer robots. And if you're a true SpongeBob fan, you'll notice that the robot shown in the thought bubble is Plankton's tank robot, the exact same one that appeared in the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. Talk about a cool callback. Moving from Bikini Bottom to the bonkers world of the Patrick Star Show, the episode Patathon serves up Easter eggs in rapid fire. Here's the setup. Patrick is hosting a live telethon from his living room, aiming to raise money for snails who can't dance. Now, this variety-style show and this episode is framed as Patrick's wacky family putting on stunts and answering phones for charity. But despite being a spin-off, Patathon does not shy away from referencing the main SpongeBob series. In fact, it revels in it, weaving classic SpongeBob elements into Patrick's surreal TV marathon. As the telethon kicks off, Patrick's sister Squidina introduces a roster of neighborhood volunteers, manning the phone bank. Eagle-eye viewers will spot Squidward unhappily taking calls, but the real treats come during the outrageous performances. One standout segment is a cutaway to a black and white old movie-style scene featuring Plankton and Patrick in a Frankenstein parody. In this segment, Plankton's a mad scientist, known as Dr. Plankenstein, and Patrick plays his hunchbacked assistant, Patgore, a play on the actual character from Frankenstein, Igor. They have SpongeBob laid out on an operating table, playing the role of the yet-to-be animated monster. Now, for those who haven't caught it yet, this whole sketch is a loving spoof of Universal's Frankenstein, complete with thunderclap and lightning as Plankton shouts.
Ring! Ring! Give my
But it also sneaks in a SpongeBob-specific Easter egg. To jolt SpongeBob's Frankenstein body to life, Plankton uses a pair of whirly brains as the makeshift electrodes. We see 2 whirling pink brains with propellers attached to SpongeBob's head, spinning furiously as the electricity flows. And this is really cool, as these devices are a direct callback to the season 10 episode Whirly Brains. These toys right here.
Attach the propeller and watch your brain soar hundreds of feet into the air as you control the action.
These were one of the more bizarre gags in the series for sure, but it's cool to see Patathon resurrected. As I always say though, keeping it going, the telethon format of this episode allows for a lot of other random cameos. For example, another blink and you'll miss it gag is during one of Grand Pat Star's Daredevil stunt segments, as throughout the ride you can see blindfolded boxers slugging it out as part of like the obstacle course. And you may recognize one of them, as one of them is Reg, the tough tattooed doorman from the iconic episode No Weenies Allowed.
Welcome to the Salty Spittoon. How tough are you?
I had a bowl of nails for breakfast this morning.
Yes, so?
Without any milk.
In that memorable season 3 episode, Reg was the bouncer of the Salty Spittoon and famously denied SpongeBob entry for being too weak. Seeing Reg appear years later in Patathon, still buff and now randomly boxing in Patrick's backyard, is a hilarious deep cut. He doesn't have any lines and it's purely a visual cameo, but for fans, the image of Reg is unmistakable. Even SpongeBob himself makes an appearance in this episode, despite it being Patrick's show, and he comes dressed for the occasion. When it's SpongeBob's turn to perform a brief dance number to encourage donations, he shows up wearing a pink tutu-like outfit called a mantu, a male version of a tutu. And longtime viewers might recall SpongeBob excitedly buying this exact same garment years in the past in the episode Toy Store of Doom.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, SpongeBob. What's with the tutu?
It's not a tutu, it's a mantu. You can tell because it has
Extra support.
It was a quick joke back then, but apparently SpongeBob held onto it, because here he is twirling in the same costume on Patrick's stage. Our next Easter egg can be found in another recent SpongeBob episode, Patrick the Mailman. This Easter egg is similar to the one found in Say Ah, as it has to do with a long-lost character, that being SpongeBob's jellyfishing idol, Kevin C. Cucumber. Kevin made his first appearance in the episode I'm Your Biggest Fanatic, but since then, we haven't really seen him for a while. Well, that is, until Patrick the Mailman, as this episode marks Kevin C. Cucumber's first major appearance since I'm Your Biggest Fanatic from season 2, thus making for a really cool callback. It turns out that Patrick Star sometimes needs a break, or so he decides in the episode Patrick's Staycation. Feeling overworked from his grueling routine of sleeping and snacking every day, probably just chilling at home in his rock playing Fortnite. This guy has no life. I love Patrick, but seriously, I've watched almost every episode of the show, and Patrick is one of the laziest characters ever. But yeah, despite being the laziest character ever, Patrick longs for a vacation, but he can't afford one. Going on vacation's really expensive. You gotta pay for your flight, you gotta book a hotel, it's pricey. So enter SpongeBob, ever the problem solver, who comes up with the idea to give Patrick a luxury staycation right at home. As I always say, don't worry, I'm gonna get to the Easter egg soon, I just gotta explain all this, that way they make sense. Now eventually, we get a scene where Patrick plans his fake vacation, and it takes place at the Bikini Bottom travel agency, and it hides a fun visual reference.
So, you'd like a vacation?
Oh, great! Another thing for me to do.
Yes, he'd like a vacation.
It all depends on your budget.
On the travel agent's wall, SpongeBob and Patrick admire a framed photo of a fancy cruise ship. But this isn't just any old cruise, it actually foreshadows the very cruise ship that'll appear in this episode's sequel episode, Walking the Plankton. That's the same ship. Walking the Plankton's like the next episode after Patrick's Staycation, so this is an interesting Easter egg. It's not what we would normally cover, but it's interesting. In Walking the Plankton, Plankton lures Mr. Krabs onto a luxury ocean liner as part of a scheme, so the travel agency Jesse's glamorous cruise poster is effectively an Easter egg planting the idea. It's a clever bit of continuity between the back-to-back episodes, and is something that SpongeBob's never really done before. There isn't usually continuity between episodes like this, so yeah, it's interesting. Coming in hot is the episode Pet the Rock, and this episode has so many Easter eggs. I don't know if we're gonna be able to cover all of them, but we're gonna cover as much as we can.
We can stop at the pet store on the way. Do any of these pets pique your fancy?
This one's really cool. So first things first, this worm right here seems to be a reference to Wormy. This crab right here though is 100% an Easter egg, as it's the exact same one from the episode Whatever Happened to SpongeBob. If we look right here, we can see sea chimps from the episode King Plankton. If we jump over here, we can see the sea whelks, referencing the episode Whelk Attack. If we pop over here, we can see Mrs. Puff's peanut worms from the episode Growth Sprout. There's also the earworm over here from the episode of the same name, Earworm. We can't forget about the sea bunnies over here from Bunny Hunt. And of course, we've got Pluffy or Puffy Fluffy, the cute thing that eventually tries to eat Gary from the episode A Pal for Gary. Crazy, dude. That's like 6 in one scene. Wild. The next Easter egg on this list comes from the episode Picture Day. In this episode, SpongeBob is trying his best to look good for his boating school picture. However, things aren't really going in the poor guy's favor. At the end of the episode, we see the picture that ends up being taken, but you may be wondering why all the other pictures are, well, humans and not fish or SpongeBob characters. Well, that's because what you're looking at is actually the creator of SpongeBob, Stephen Hillenburg's yearbook, and Stephen Hillenburg's picture is replaced with SpongeBob's. In the season 16 episode Pigkin Pearl, Pearl Krabs joins her high school football team and unexpectedly becomes their new star player, leading Bikini Bottom High into a championship game. I personally really like episodes like this because they're not as focused on SpongeBob and are giving other characters a chance to shine, like Pearl. This has actually happened a couple of times now. Like, we had a whole episode Mall Girl Pearl, which was all about Pearl getting a job at the mall. I think SpongeBob only appears for like a second in that episode, and there's plenty of others, but this episode in particular celebrates Pearl's athletic prowess, while SpongeBob and Patrick enthusiastically cheer her on from the sidelines. As the game unfolds, the animators slip in nods to earlier SpongeBob adventures that eagle-eyed fans will definitely recognize. For instance, when Patrick scrambles up the towering bleachers to reach the announcer's booth, he suddenly dons a familiar getup, a Swiss mountaineer's outfit complete with an alpine hat and gear. Does this look familiar to you guys? Longtime viewers will remember Patrick wearing a nearly identical Swiss mountain climbing outfit back in the season 3 episode New Student Starfish, during this gag right here.
Coming, SpongeBob!
It seems the Pigskin Pearl team gave Patrick's old costume a bit of a redesign here, but the homage is definitely clear. Another fun reference comes via Pearl's fearsome opponents in the episode. I mean, just listen to this clip right here and listen to what they call the rival football team, like the team's name.
The New Kelp City Delinquents. Their entire team has been held back in school for decades.
As you just heard, the rival football team is called the New Kelp City Delinquents, a team name that in itself is an Easter egg. New Kelp City is a location introduced in the special SpongeBob episode Whatever Happened to SpongeBob, also known as Who Bob What Pants, which is actually a much cooler title. But yeah, this is the first time we heard of New Kelp City.
Citizens of New Kelp, come out of the shadows! 'Cause Cheese Boy kicked the bubble poppin' gang right out of town!
This is an historic day for New Kelp City. You have rid this city of the bubble poppin' boys.
It's a rare location that is very rarely brought up, and originally was kind of exclusive to Whatever Happened to SpongeBob. The location was made just so that SpongeBob could go missing and end up in New Kelp City. So it's really cool to see it referenced in season 16 so many years later. This is like a deep cut. Also, by naming the rival football team after that city, the episode is like subtly connecting Pearl's high school sports story to SpongeBob's broader universe. And again, I've said this in the past couple of Easter egg videos, this is something Nickelodeon has been doing a ton in season 16. But yeah, let's keep it going. There's some more Easter eggs in this episode. So the climax of Pigkin Pearl delivers perhaps the most heartwarming one though. When Pearl is down and doubting herself, SpongeBob steps in to give her a confidence boost. And if you take a look at this clip, it's somewhat of a reference to an older SpongeBob episode.
You look nervous. I'm gonna share a special cheer with you. My grandma taught it to me. When days are tough and things go bad, grandmas help you not feel sad. Remember to just be you.
As you just seen, SpongeBob performs a sweet cheer that Grandma SquarePants taught him, advising Pearl to just be you when times are tough. Well, this entire scene mirrors an older scene from the episode Rock Bottom. Now, they're not identical, but it's more the fact of SpongeBob quoting something from his grandmother. Take a look at the clip and you'll see what I mean.
I guess Grandpa SquarePants was right. Don't run for a bus. Especially one that's going up at a 90-degree angle.
If you listen closely, SpongeBob does that same high-pitched voice that he did in Pigkin Pearl, showing that these two are a little bit of a reference. Either way, the fact that Grandma SquarePants was brought up in general is somewhat of a cool reference. She isn't in the show very often anymore and had a big appearance back in the episode Grandma's Kisses. She was actually a lot more present if you remember, like back in season 1, 2, and 3, so seeing her being referenced in season 16 is really cool. The episode SpongeBob Trash Pants turns a simple beach cleanup into a high-speed spectacle, brimming with references to SpongeBob's past. The episode finds SpongeBob volunteering to rid Goo Lagoon, Bikini Bottom's beach, of litter, and in doing so, he essentially becomes a one-sponge sanitation army, complete with a snappy uniform.
Trash, trash, everywhere trash. Picking up flotsam and jetsam. SpongeBob's the name, and litter's my game. So if you got garbage, I'll get some.
Well, longtime fans will immediately recognize SpongeBob's outfit in that last scene I just played, as it's almost a duplicate of the Union Soldier style uniform he wore during the indoor campout of the season 6 episode Pineapple Fever. The difference though, this new version is bright white and sports a taller cap, but the homage is unmistakable. It's a fun visual cue that SpongeBob is entering battle mode against trash, much like he did against Cabin Fever, and indeed, he takes his new duty comedically seriously, which, as you guys know, that's how SpongeBob is. Remember when he became a hall monitor? He took that job equally as seriously. Anyways though, when this potato chip bag catches the breeze and flies off, SpongeBob gives chase across Bikini Bottom, and the episode becomes a grand tour of Easter eggs. The first stop, the boat rental kiosk at Goo Lagoon, which eagle-eyed viewers will remember from the episode Abandoned Twits. And there's more. As SpongeBob sprints past, determined to catch the rapper, he suddenly pulls off a classic gag. He deepens his voice to a booming baritone and sprouts a heroic square jaw. This hilarious transformation is a direct callback to this scene from the episode Hall Monitor.
And assume my duties as
Hall Monitor!
Wish me luck, Mrs. Puff.
Gotcha.
Fell for the old tears of a trash man routine. I'll just put you in my pocket for safekeeping.
As you just seen, SpongeBob for a moment acquires a deep authority voice and ends up looking like a total Chad, a Giga Chad. Look at that jawline. In Hall Monitor, it was a part of his overzealous persona, and seeing it resurface in an episode years later, like 20 years later, is a perfect inside joke showing that SpongeBob is still a control freak, and he can have a really nice jawline sometimes. The chase scene becomes a who's who of Bikini Bottom cameos. At one point, the hot rod tough guy from the episode Midlife Crustacean zooms by in his flaming convertible.
Hey, you guys must be lost! Doofus Drive is around the corner!
This time though, he gets pulled over by a police officer for speeding. The tough guy instantly becomes a softie. He produces flowers and chocolate out of nowhere and hands them to the cop in apology. But meanwhile, in the midst of the chaos, Bubble Bass barrels through the scene wearing a familiar ensemble he wore way back in the season 1 episode Fools in April. I guess Bubble Bass hasn't updated his wardrobe since 1999, which is a cute detail for observant fans. And keep your eyes peeled on the background as Bubble Bass tries to escape SpongeBob, as for a split second, Patrick is visible hanging from a carnival prize hook on the boardwalk, desperately trying to stay hidden. The visual gag references Patrick's antics in The Whole Tooth from season 9, where in this scene he does a very similar action at a fair to avoid going to the dentist.
Wow.
And we have a winner.
Thank you.
Oh, darn it.
It's a tiny detail, but it rewards viewers who catch the parallel Patrick once again hooked at a fair. But guess what, guys? We're still not done. There's more, and there's a lot more. As SpongeBob's pursuit takes him through town, the animators populate the streets with old establishments we've seen in prior episodes. We pass by mattresses and then some, and if this store looks familiar, it's because we've seen it before. It's the exact same store from the old school episode, The Lost Mattress, where SpongeBob and friends bought a new bed for Mr. Krabs. Next is Martha's Craft Zone, which again, we haven't seen it for a while. The last time we seen it was in the episode Have You Seen This Snail, when SpongeBob gathered supplies to make Missing Gary posters. And then, in a triple whammy, we see Weenie Hut Juniors, the Pizza Pie Hole, and Taco Sombrero. Now I'm hungry, but this is the trio of fast food joints where SpongeBob tried working at when he got fired in the episode SpongeBob, You're Fired. Seeing all these locations on one boardwalk is like a mini SpongeBob map of memories, cleverly inserted without fanfare. They establish Bikini Bottom's continuity, as all of these places still exist and are open for business, even as SpongeBob rushes by on his mission. The climax of the chase sequence is equally jam-packed with even more references. SpongeBob ends up launching into the air and crashes directly into a horse-drawn funeral carriage, driven by Slappy, the living dummy character from Nickelodeon's crossover, The Patrick Star Show. As SpongeBob hurtles through the psychedelic sky, keen fans will notice it's the same sky tunnel that Mrs. Puff and SpongeBob flew through in the episode Doing Time. Here's a side-by-side, and yeah, man, this is a reference to a season 3 episode. It's really cool. Reusing that distinctive swirling background for SpongeBob's trash flight is a brilliant deep cut. And even the title card of SpongeBob Trash Pants carries an Easter egg. Its design mimics the title card of Jellyfish Hunter from season 2, except now there's trash everywhere around the title. But actually, there's more, and you really need to be a nerd to catch this one. As a cherry on top, the episode slips in a meta reference that even the most seasoned fans might have been stunned by. For those who don't know, a WH-2O radio tower appears during the chase, a sunken red and white boat with a tall antenna, mass broadcasting music. Casual viewers might just see a random radio station, but SpongeBob nerds like me recognize WH-2O as the fictional Bikini Bottom radio from the Best Day Ever album, a SpongeBob music album released in 2006 that opened with a WH-2O skit. I'm gonna play it here. I'm gonna try to put some music in the background maybe so it doesn't get claimed, but listen.
Hi, radio listeners. This is SpongeBob SquarePants. When I'm in Bikini Bottom, I listen to Albacore, the tuneful tuna, on WH2O. WH2O.
In Trash Pants, this very station is shown for the very first time in the series, making the first ever crossover of a SpongeBob album element into the TV show. On the other side of the station is text proudly declaring nothing but chase music since 2006, a cheeky reference to the album's release year and the jaunty chase music it featured. It's an Easter egg that nobody saw coming, not even me, breaking the wall between SpongeBob music and cartoon canon. And with that, SpongeBob Trash Pants cements itself as a treasure trove of inside jokes. An episode that, much like SpongeBob's trusty uniform, stitches the old and new together in one entertaining package. The episode SpongeBob's Last Stand is all about SpongeBob and Patrick protesting the demolition of their favorite Bikini Bottom location, Jellyfish Fields. Now at one point, we see a parade celebrating the construction of the Shelly Superhighway. And if you're a true SpongeBob fan, you'll notice that the band of the parade is wearing the exact same outfits as Squidward's band in Band Geeks, thus making for another interesting little Easter egg. I love these season 1, 2, or 3 callbacks. They're the best. So who here is familiar with this character? This character is named Granny, and she along with Miss Grusselpuss are both pretty rare in terms of incidentals. They don't show up very often. Well, they make a slight cameo in the episode Grandma's Secret Recipe, as both characters appear while SpongeBob and Great Grandma are knitting. This isn't necessarily the most mind-blowing Easter egg or cameo, I'll admit, but hey, it's pretty cool. The season 10 episode, SpongeBob's Place, has a good plot, but I think the biggest thing this episode is known for is all of the wild Easter eggs. Now, I'm not going to cover this scene, which has like 8+ Easter eggs all in one shot, like holy cow, as we've covered it quite a few times already, but I did find another one, and it's spicy.
Hey! I see the problem! SpongeBob's not in the kitchen! I don't
Remember the nasty patty that SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs prepared in the season 3 episode of the same name? Yeah, well, it appears again for the first time in a long time during this scene. There are some slight differences, but this was definitely a throwback to season 3, and I absolutely adore it.
Oops, I dropped it in the toilet.
Well, fish it out, and I'll dry it with me gym socks.
Squidward has referenced his groovy moves a few times, but the most notable reference, in my opinion, was in the episode Pat Heart Squid, as when Squidward tries dancing to attract people, at one point, his moves are precisely what he does in Culture Shock. And guess what? In response, the audience throws tomatoes at him, just like they did in that episode. Poor Squidward. When Plankton's beloved pet amoeba Spot makes an unexpected comeback in the episode Spot Returns, he brings a big surprise. Spot has had a litter of adorable puppies. They're really cute, but they also would be pretty slimy, I feel like, but that's just my opinion. Now, there's lots of Easter eggs we're going to be talking about, and some of them are crazy. Like, you want to stay tuned for these Easter eggs, but in order for any of them to make sense, I need to recap the plot a little bit and give you guys context. The episode's premise centers on Plankton trying to harness these new minions for one of his nefarious schemes. Well, chaos erupts as the tiny amoebas overrun the chum bucket. In the opening scene, even Plankton's computer wife Karen can't handle the cuteness overload. So she crashes and reboots when she sees how many cuddly, cute puppies Spot has produced. And this is where we can find our first reference.
Cute overload.
Now, when this happens though, Karen makes a certain sound effect here, as you guys just heard. Attentive fans will notice that Karen's reboot sound is a nostalgic nod, as it mimics the classic Apple Macintosh startup chimes. Here's a side-by-side, here's the sound effect from Spot Returns. And here's the iconic sound effect that it's referencing. They're very close, right? I mean, this cheeky real-world reference fits perfectly with Karen's computer persona and immediately sets the tone for all of the other references and Easter eggs in this episode. But let's keep it going and talk about another Easter egg. As Plankton regains control, Karen helps name a few of the new amoeba, and the names themselves are actually like a huge Easter egg, as they hide tributes to SpongeBob's real-life creators.
Overload.
Karen rattles off a few names in rapid succession. For example, Vincent is one of them, a wink to longtime crew member Vincent Waller, someone who's pretty much kept the series alive since Stephen Hillenburg's passing. But speaking of Stephen Hillenburg, there's even a reference to him, as she names one of them Stephen, another one of them Karen, and another one of them Clayton, which savvy SpongeBob nerds like myself will recognize as a homage to the Hillenburg family. Stephen Hillenburg, of course, is SpongeBob's creator, and the person that brought this entire series to life. Like, the show really has not been the same since he's passed away. Like, I mean, come on, seasons 1, 2, 3, and a little bit of 4 are the best seasons, and those are the ones that Stephen Hillenburg really contributed to. But yeah, he's referenced here, but also Karen and Clay are the names of his son and wife. So a really special Easter egg here. It's a heartfelt Easter egg subtly worked into Karen's dialogue that honors the people behind the show and made it what it is today. Also, a fun fact for context, this episode also marks Spot's first appearance since his debut in the season 9 episode Plankton's Pet. He was introduced in that episode in this clip right here.
Oh no, Plankton!
You know, I can't say I'm surprised. Hey there, little guy.
But then he kind of disappeared and became pretty rare. But Spot Returns, I mean, the title implies it, was his first time coming back. And at the time, it was a pretty big deal. But let's keep it going, I've got even more Easter eggs. The plot soon shifts to SpongeBob, who crosses paths with Plankton amid the puppy pandemonium. Just before SpongeBob discovers Plankton painting a free puppies billboard, with him trying to get rid of all of the new amiibos he has. I just called them amiibos by accident, but they're actually called amoebas. Boots. I've had to look up the pronunciation like 5 times in this video, just saying. But yeah, with Plankton having so many of them, he wants to give them away and makes this billboard. But this whole scene in general hides another Easter egg. Just before SpongeBob runs into Plankton, we see him blowing bubbles. And longtime fans likely will do a double take when you see this clip right here, as the bubbles SpongeBob blows take the shape of an elephant and a caterpillar. And this might seem random, right? Like, Cartoon Corey, what are you talking about? But this is a reference, as the elephant and caterpillar bubbles look exactly how they did all the way back in the season 1 episode Bubble Stand. In that season 1 episode, SpongeBob showed off his expert bubble blowing technique to Squidward, and even formed an elephant bubble to show everyone what he could do. He also did a caterpillar in that same episode.
It's a giraffe!
Well, Spot Returns recreates these whimsical bubble shapes as a really cool callback, dude, visually linking SpongeBob's early antics to the present day. It's a seamless reference that fits within the scene, and also rewards nerds like me with a cool little Easter egg or reference. And there's more. Later in the episode, SpongeBob agrees to help find homes for Spot's offspring, leading to a sequence where he delivers amoeba puppies to various Bikini Bottom residents. And we're gonna get an Easter egg here, but I'm just saying, would you guys take one? Like, if SpongeBob and Plankton were going around giving free amoeba puppies, these slimy things right here, would you take one? I think I would, but I don't know. Let me know if you would in the comments, I'm curious. But yeah, when this happens, one stop is Mrs. Puff's house, and this scene is packed with deep cut SpongeBob lore. As an overexcited amoeba puppy wreaks havoc at Mrs. Puff's place, we can see this very important photograph right here, which turns out to be Mr. Krabs. A cool nod and a nice little bit of continuity referencing their on and off relationship, which spans the series. Longtime fans will recall episodes like Krusty Love, where Mr. Krabs courted Mrs. Puff.
You're a very sweet man, Mr. Krabs.
So seeing her keep a photo of them, like I said, is cool continuity and a cool reference to Krusty Love. And just saying, like, what makes this special is the fact that Mr. Krabs and Mrs. Puff's relationship isn't always acknowledged. It's more of a background detail, and it was actually pretty rare up until this point for it to be referenced. Nowadays, it's referenced all the time. Like in modern SpongeBob, there's an episode where Mrs. Puff starts flirting with Larry and Mr. Krabs gets jealous in the more recent seasons. But at the time, this right here in Spot Returns was a pretty cool and rare Easter egg. And believe it or not, there's another Easter egg in this exact same scene. Another picture on Mrs. Puff's wall shows a pet snail, and this one right here is a deep cut. This is actually an Easter egg that only the most dedicated nerds like me will catch, as this snail right here is Annette, Mrs. Puff's pet snail, who first and up until now only appeared in the season 3 episode The Sponge Who Could Fly.
My snail is up a tree, harder since I was a little girl.
Gotcha! Next time, try the elevator.
In that lost episode, SpongeBob rescues Mrs. Puff's snail Annette from a treetop. Now, we haven't seen Annette like in the flesh since then, but it's cool to know that, you know, the writers and the art team, and more importantly, Mrs. Puff hasn't forgotten about her snail. So yeah, lots of cool references in this episode Spot Returns. I highly recommend it, but you guys already know what's gonna happen here. Let's head into another episode with more Easter eggs. Our next Easter egg, or well, I guess Easter eggs, are hidden in the fairly recent season 13 episode, Say Ah. Now, there have been hundreds of incidentals introduced over the years. This can sometimes result in older ones being discontinued. But fortunately for us longtime fans, the episode Say Ah brings a total of 3 discontinued incidentals back for the first time in like 20 to 22 years. First up is Incidental 62, who makes their first appearance since the season 3 episode New Student Starfish. There is also Incidental 66, who was last seen in the season 1 episode Fools in April. Oh, and finally, Incidental 71, who hasn't been seen since season 2's Patty Hype. Pretty cool. So listen up, as this next Easter egg is a little complex. But let's head over to Sheldon SquarePants. This one has one Easter egg that's really cool.
Why, look
Look, Cecil, it's a baby boy.
Fantastic! I've always wanted our son to have a brother!
Some might argue if this is actually an Easter egg or not, but the ending of Sheldon SquarePants, as you just seen, hints that Patrick's parents from the Patrick Star Show are canonically alive outside of the Patrick Star Show. We've never seen them outside of the Patrick Star Show, and remember that like them being introduced technically retconned Patrick's actual parents from regular SpongeBob, Herb and Margie. Let's head over to Single Cell Defense and talk about the Easter egg I found in that episode. Okay, so this flower shop right here with shattered glass is a reference to the episode Love That Squid. You guys seen the clips before this, so you get it, but this one's hilarious. I love that they even kept the shattered glass from Love That Squid. Here's Easter egg number 2.
Congratulations, Plankton! But remember, this technique is to be used strictly for self-defense.
Oh, of course, Sensei Sandy.
This one's kinda weak, but I'm gonna include it anyways. But as you heard, Sandy tells Plankton to only use self-defense for good, which is exactly what she told Squidward in Squid Defense.
Karate ain't for revenge. It's a delicate art that helps you protect yourself.
So maybe an Easter egg here, and even if it is one, it's kinda lame, so let's head over to one that's actually really good. Let's take a trip back in time over to SpongeBob Season 5. This season was from all the way back in 2005, over 15 years ago, and the episode in particular is Slimy Dancing. You know, it's actually crazy that they were even doing Easter eggs this early on in the show's airing, like season 5. Anyways though, let's get right into it. Here's the first Easter egg. I love this one. Who remembers the episode Sailor Mouth from back in the day? In this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick come across sentence-enhancing spicy words, which are pretty much swears, all right? They're saying inappropriate words, and whenever they're said, we hear like this dolphin chirping sound effect. Listen for a second.
Hello, Patrick. Lovely day we're having, isn't it?
This day is particularly lovely.
Well, this is referenced in Slimy Dancing, as when Squidward starts getting the cramp, we can hear this dolphin chirp in the background, which is most likely due to him swearing due to the pain from the cramps, which is awesome. And by the way, fun fact, this was the second time the dolphin chirping swear noise was used for censorship over swearing. It hasn't actually been done since Sailor Mouth, so awesome reference to OG SpongeBob. And baby, we've got more. Let's keep it moving and head over to another episode. We're gonna be having a lot of fun today, guys, especially if you're a big fan of SpongeBob history. Next up, we're gonna talk about the episode Slumber Party Stars. And here's the thing, this is actually like technically the Patrick Star Show episode, but the reference is to OG SpongeBob, and it's really, really cool. For it to make sense though, we have to go back in time a little bit, guys, and go back to the episode Sailor Mouth. Can you believe that this episode is like 20 plus years old? It's from season 2. And in this episode, we see SpongeBob and Patrick play a very specific game, Eels and Escalators.
Hooray! Escalators!
Now, this game has popped up multiple times in other episodes over the years, but even in season 16, it's still popping up. As look, in Slumber Party Stars, the die that Cecil holds up is the exact same one from Eels and Escalators. Here's a side-by-side, and yeah, what a cool Easter egg, right? These ones are awesome. Another cool reference in this episode is what Patrick is seen wearing during the scavenger hunt scene. Some of you guys may be too young to catch this reference, but Patrick is actually wearing Elmer Fudd's hat. He was a character from the Looney Tunes, and here's a side-by-side, and yeah, it's like pretty much the exact same hat. But let's head over to another episode. Check out our next Easter egg in the episode Sponge Chovy. What a cool reference to the first ever episode of SpongeBob. It's not exactly identical, but it's very close, with SpongeBob sending numerous Krabby Patties out to anchovies just like he did in Help Wanted. Let's talk about the episode SpongeBob and Patrick's Timeline Twist-Up, which is a very ambitious time travel episode that celebrates SpongeBob's history. More importantly though, this episode has a lot of Easter eggs, like almost like 15 different Easter eggs in one episode. So let me take a breather. And let's get into this, guys. Here's the first one. All right, so as you guys can see, we're in SpongeBob's living room right now, all right? And there's something important here. There's two things here that are very important, and it's these two pictures. They may just seem like normal, ordinary pictures, but they're actually references to classic SpongeBob episodes. This one references the season 1 episode, Jellyfishing. The photo in the frame is a literal shot from that episode, and this other one references the season 2 episode, Frankendoodle, which as many of you guys know is when we were first introduced to Doodlebob. It's really cool to see that even in season 16, there's references to season 1, 2, and 3. And there's gonna be a ton more. Let's keep it moving. Here's the next Easter egg. Take a look at this. This one is very similar to the last one, and it's very nostalgic, as there's a bunch of moments from older episodes that are shown in this book right here. This is SpongeBob's scrapbook. This moment right here is SpongeBob with the inflatable pants from the episode The Sponge Who Can Fly. Here's a side-by-side, really good reference. And this other one is showing SpongeBob and Patrick doing their iconic performance at the Bubble Bowl. This happened in season 2's Band Geeks, and here's another side-by-side. Oh, also, listen to what Grandpat says right here.
I was gonna play the stock market and invest in goofy goobers. I know who wins the Bubble Bowl.
If you heard him correctly, he actually references the Bubble Bowl, making for another reference to an iconic episode. And this next Easter egg is very similar. It has to do with a certain location that we have not seen for a very long time. Take a look at this clip. If you're confused on what's going on here, I don't blame you, as this location hasn't appeared for like over 20 years. But this place right here is the Comedy Crab, and it's a stage show where comedians perform basically. And if you remember, it's where SpongeBob performed making fun of Sandy in this clip right here from the episode Squirrel Jokes. Roll the footage.
And what's up with that squirrel fur? I guess fleas need a home too, huh?
Squirrel fur!
Now that is a really cool reference. It's awesome to see a location like pop up again, especially when we haven't seen it for so long. It might not seem like a big deal, but these types of things help build the world of SpongeBob when we know that there's all of these locations within Bikini Bottom. But anyways, I'm rambling, and here's the next Easter egg. Roll the clip.
Hey, Squeaky, the bus is here!
Now, I wasn't entirely sure about this next one, but after watching one of my favorite episodes, Rock Bottom, I know for sure that this is a reference right here. As just like SpongeBob from the episode Rock Bottom, Squidina tries to catch up with the bus, but she can't because the road is pointing up, of course, and this prevents her from going up. But more importantly, she also falls and climbs the same exact way that SpongeBob did in Rock Bottom, as you can see in this side-by-side. So this was a very clear and direct reference. Pretty cool, and guess what, guys? I have another Easter egg. So let me explain a little bit here. A big plot point of this episode is that the events of multiple other SpongeBob episodes are pretty much rewritten by the Patrick Star family, which includes season 1's Help Wanted, the episode Ripped Pants, the episode Rock Bottom, as I just mentioned, and the episode Neptune Spatula. And something I found really weird and interesting here is that the second half of the rewritten version of Help Wanted pretty much turns into an abridged version of the episode Plankton. For this one, you really have to watch the whole episode, and you really need to have watched Help Wanted and the episode Plankton to get this one, so I can't explain it much more. But this section of the episode actually has a whole other reference in it, and that's SpongeBob, Sandy, and Mr. Krabs' designs, as it seems that the animators went to replicate the animation style of the original episodes. For example, take a look at Patrick in this episode and how he looked in Rock Bottom or Neptune Spatula. If you look, his eyebrows are shaped like M's, but if you look at a more recent shot of Patrick, they don't look like that. They kind of changed his design in modern SpongeBob, but they went back to his OG design for this episode. The same thing goes for Sandy. If we take a look at a modern shot of Sandy from any other episode, her design looks like this. But back in SpongeBob season 1, she looked like this. Well, during the Ripped Pants segment of SpongeBob and Patrick's Timeline Twist Up, look at Sandy. Her suit is depicted with 3 dots, just like the old school design. And this one is like really interesting, but but in the original Ripped Pants episode, there's this shot where Sandy's missing her tail, and they actually referenced this in SpongeBob and Patrick's timeline twist-up. As look, even in this modern shot, they didn't draw her tail, so pretty cool. But what's also really cool are the outfits that SpongeBob and Patrick are wearing in this scene right here. You have to be like a hardcore SpongeBob fan to catch this one because it's a reference to SpongeBob season 7, but if you guys remember, in season 7, there was this episode, SpongeBob's Last Stand. And if you look at the clip I'm about to play you, you're gonna notice something familiar. Yeah, those are the same outfits we just saw in SpongeBob and Patrick's timeline twist-up. So even 10 plus seasons later, they're still referencing this, which is very, very, very cool. And I have another reference like this that's very similar that can be found in this next scene right here. It takes place during the rock bottom part of the episode. This is another obscure reference, and it's to the season 11 episode Ink Lemonade, which isn't really that old of an episode, but there's still an Easter egg here. In that episode, we were introduced to this character right here, Mildred, and she actually makes her first appearance in like 7 years since 2018 in this episode. SpongeBob has been doing this a lot lately. For example, if we look at a character like Lady Upturn, she originally was like a very passive character, but she now pops up all the time. So who knows, maybe we'll see Mildred more often as well. And this reappearance might be SpongeBob building up the SpongeBob world even more, like I was suggesting earlier. But anyways, here's another Easter egg.
Next. Next. Next.
If you're confused, some of these characters right here, this guy, we've seen them before. They're not just regular rock bottomites. If we rewind back to the season 11 episode, The Night Patty, in this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick decide to do something we haven't really seen before. After a trip at Glove World, they decide to grab a bite to eat at the Krusty Krab, but it's nighttime.
Howling rings, sucker shakes, boogers, crawly fries.
Give us the works!
One great Pacific garbage patch!
Order up!
Turns out that the nighttime attracts a completely different crowd at the Krusty Krab, including some of these guys right here. And here's a side-by-side, these characters actually appeared in the episode we're already talking about, SpongeBob and Patrick's timeline twist-up. They can be seen right here in Rock Bottom, which is a fitting place for them. And yeah, it's kind of weird seeing season 11 episodes get Easter eggs now, but I mean, like, season 11's kind of old now. Like, let me check, 1 second. I'm literally gonna do a Google search, 1 second. 2019, so it's been 6 years since SpongeBob season 11. Crazy to see that we're getting Easter eggs referencing episodes from that season now. But here's another Easter egg.
All we have to do is...
I can't believe it ain't Squidina! I was just starting to remember I had a sister.
So as you guys just heard, Patrick just said, I was just starting to remember I have a sister. And if this sounds familiar, it's because Patrick has said this exact same line before. And to find it, we have to go all the way back to season 2. See, this is where I expect Easter eggs. Those seasons are old enough where I understand there being Easter eggs. But yeah, we have to go back to season 2, more specifically the episode Something Smells. As a listen, Patrick says like the exact same line in this episode.
Oh my gosh, if my sister finds out, oh wait, I don't have a sister.
It's pretty cool to hear him say the same thing like 20 plus years later, and I could ramble on about that, but we got more cool Easter eggs to cover, so here's the next one. Roll the footage.
Let's get you in bed, mister, and fix you up.
My kingly docket is incredibly full today. But I'm far too ill to complete my royal duties.
You have to be obsessed just like I am to catch that Easter egg, but if we rewind back to season 6's The Clash of Triton, we see Triton and Queen Anthrite. This is how they look, especially in that season 6 episode, Remember, as if we go back to that clip I just played, look, they're shown right here and are pictured. Now this one requires some elite ball knowledge for sure, alright? But if you watch the Patrick Star Show, a running joke from the episode Pearl Wants to Be a Star is that Patrick's grandfather, Grandpat, and Mr. Krabs have a rivalry. For example, take a look at this clip from Pearl Wants to Be a Star.
It's about time time you showed up, Krabs. You know why the Navy is always late? They gotta wait for the tides to wash them ashore.
Well, during SpongeBob and Patrick's timeline twist-up, we get this scene where it's literally brought up and referenced, which is really cool because this shows continuity. Roll the footage.
I hope it's not a problem working for your old frenemy.
I'm not working for you, Krabs. I'm working near you.
This is one of the biggest things I've seen in season 16 is the SpongeBob team is doing a bunch of like little things to add more continuity to the spin-offs like Camp Coral, the Patrick Star Show, the movies, etc. But yeah, here's another one. Roll the footage.
Formula acquired.
All hail the Grand Patty!
Did you guys catch it? Well, Karen's analyzer, this thing right here, is the exact same one from the episode Plankton, the season 1 episode Plankton. I love this type of attention to detail, and I mean, look at this side by side, they're nearly identical. Also, we don't need to play a clip for this, but something I want to point out, if you ever watch this episode, is if you pay attention to Karen's personality, it's a lot more in line with her earliest appearances. They've evolved her character over the years, but this episode is definitely paying a homage to the original Karen from season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And okay, there's one more for this episode, and then we can finally move over to like another episode. Can you believe they put this many Easter eggs in one episode? Considering the plot of this episode, I guess it makes sense. But anyways, I need to explain. My phone went off, but I'm gonna keep it in the video still, because I'm real. I'm not like one of those crappy AI SpongeBob channels. But yeah, I need to explain this one. But basically, a while back, there was an event called the Tidal Zone, okay? And basically, there were 3 episodes from SpongeBob season 13 where the Patrick Star Show and the SpongeBob regular cartoon had a crossover. More specifically, Grandpat, who would go through this wormhole right here to different times.
Sweet Neptune, have I found the beginning of the universe?
Now, if you pay attention during this episode, SpongeBob and Patrick's timeline twist up, I feel like I've said that 1,000 times already, but in this episode, whenever the Star family travels through time, that exact same wormhole animation is reused. And I think this is how it's going to be forever now. I think whenever there's a time travel storyline in SpongeBob, they're always going to use this exact wormhole animation. But anyways, that one was kind of boring. Hopefully it was so boring that you're sleeping right now. You should be sleeping by now. But let's head over to another episode, guys, and I've saved some of the crazier Easter eggs for later on. That way, if you're still up, I still keep you guys entertained, all right? Well, we're actually going to switch up the flow a little bit, guys, and we're going to talk about a video game. We're going to be talking about SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom and a bunch of references in this game that reference the actual show. For example, one of the most fascinating Easter eggs you can find in this game comes in the Krusty Krab kitchen. Fans notice that the kitchen's layout in this game is mirrored incorrectly. As you can see, the frying stove is positioned on the opposite side from where it normally is in the actual cartoon. It's really weird. Now, at first glance, this might seem like a simple developer error, but it turns out to be a case of life or game imitating art. The developers likely modeled the kitchen using these reference shots from the show and unknowingly copied an animation mistake that the show itself made in a few episodes. In early episodes like Nature Pants, Your Shoes Untied, and My Pretty Seahorse, all banger episodes by the way, they're such good episodes, the Krusty Krab grill was inconsistently drawn on the left side of the kitchen instead of the right. In any other episode of SpongeBob, the kitchen's drawn correctly and looks like this, with it normally being on the right, the stove. So yeah, a fun fact for you right there, that the kitchen in Battle for Bikini Bottom is incorrect, and it's incorrect because it's based on incorrect shots from the show. Crazy. Next up is an episode filled to the brim with Easter eggs, and that's Plankton Gets the Boot from season 10. After an argument with Karen, he insulted her screensaver, Plankton finds himself kicked out of his own house, and throughout this episode we see him couch surfing at SpongeBob's place, which is kind of crazy, you know, like Plankton's tried to do a lot of crazy stuff to SpongeBob. Like one time he literally invaded his body and controlled him like a robot, but SpongeBob doesn't care, he's a chill guy, and still lets him sleep over. Now this is where the Easter eggs come in, as during this scene right here where the pair are eating popcorn, dude, there's like 15 plus Easter eggs in this one scene, so let's dive into all of them. First things first, who remembers Whirly Brains? SpongeBob and Patrick buy these things at the Bikini Bottom toy shop after watching an advertisement in that same episode, Whirly Brains, and it's usually used to play pranks on other Bikini Bottomites.
Found him!
Yep, that's him! Hi, Squidward!
Well, if we look at that shot from Plankton Gets the Boot, they're right here. We can also see Pretzel Pals, which is another cool reference. It actually references the episode Buried in Time, specifically this scene right here. Roll the clip.
It's our favorite game! Pretzel Pals!
Also, if we rewind to the episode Have You Seen This Snail?, there was this Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy paddle ball set. Well, it reappears years later in that same shot from Plankton Gets the Boot. And there's more. If you guys remember, there was an episode in the past where Patrick makes his own board game. It was called Patrick the Game.
Welcome, gamers, and behold! My game.
It's beautiful.
Well, Patrick the Game appears in this episode right here. And there's some more board games. For example, if we go back to the episode Arg, Mr. Krabs played this board game right here.
The Flying Dutchman's Treasure Hunt.
Based on a real treasure map.
This right here is the Flying Dutchman's Treasure Hunt, and it seems that the writers haven't forgotten about it because it's right here in Plankton Gets the Boot. And you guys may have noticed eels and escalators right here, which needs no introduction. This board game is iconic, and if you're a SpongeBob fan, you know exactly where it's from. But let's keep it moving, there's more. We can see this Mermaid Man action figure right here, which also appeared in the episode Mermaid Man vs. SpongeBob in this scene, and in the episode Toy Store of Doom. And we're still not done yet. There's the Pin the Tail on the Seahorse, which, to refresh your memory, is from this scene in the episode Opposite Day.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday cake! Happy birthday! Pin the tail on the seahorse!
It also appeared in the episode Party Pooper Pants right here as well. So really cool to see it appearing in Plankton Gets the Boot. If we look over here, we'll see Rocky Road, which made its original appearance in Goodbye Krabby Patty. But more importantly, if we look over here, guys, there's a Krusty Krab pizza, which references the iconic episode Pizza Delivery. And for those who don't know, it also appeared in this scene in the episode I Heart Dancing. We're close, but we're not done yet. If we look over here, we can see a certain set of balloons. They're kind of spread out throughout the room. The F is over here, the N is over here, and then the U is over here. And of course, guys, this is referencing the episode Fun. That is a lot of Easter eggs in one scene, guys. Like, whoever wrote this episode is a major fan, maybe even a bigger fan than me. You know what's crazy though, guys? There's even more Easter eggs in later scenes. For example, during SpongeBob's makeover sequence, he dresses Plankton up with various props. But more importantly, if we look at SpongeBob's outfit, it's actually something we've seen before. It seems to be a recolored version of the exact outfit he wore while on a pretend date with Squidward in Love That Squid.
Sometime today would be nice.
I'm ready!
Not to.
Missed the spot.
Here's a side-by-side, and this one I guess is a little bit more of a reach. Like, I guess you could argue that they just reused the design and it's not intended to be an Easter egg, but who knows? And to be honest, considering the fact that there's like 15 plus other Easter eggs in this episode, I do think that this was intentional, who knows? But there's even more. When SpongeBob scans Plankton's body composition with a high-tech analyzer, the readout seems to mirror a scene from Plankton's very first appearance back in the episode Plankton.
Plankton, 1% evil, 99% hot gas.
As a lot of our longtime viewers know, Season 1's Pizza Delivery is one of my favorite, all-time favorite episodes, with it being all about SpongeBob and Squidward going on a little pizza delivery adventure and doing everything they can to get this box of pizza to its destination.
Krusty Krab pizza is the pizza absolutively.
Now, I don't know if the Krusty Krab still serves pizza to this day, but it is possible, considering that a Krusty Krab pizza box did pop up in a recent episode as an Easter egg. It's easy to miss, but in the episode Plankton Gets the Boot, a Krusty Krab pizza can be seen in SpongeBob's house when he and Plankton are watching a movie in the living room.
Many unbearable hours later.
Oh, my love, what a fool I've been.
Pretty cool. Now, you probably can notice there are a bunch of other Easter eggs in the shot, but I'm gonna leave you guys to find them, so leave a comment. What other Easter eggs are in this shot? In the episode Squeaky Boots, Mr. Krabs begins to freak out when he can't escape the sound of, well, squeaking. This drives our favorite crab crazy and gives us this scene where Mr. Krabs turns blue and begins to hear and see the word squeak everywhere. He has a total meltdown.
Could the world's greatest fry cook do this? And this, 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 and this.
Well, this scene seems to be directly referenced in the episode Plankton Paranoia, with this scene. Instead of Mr. Krabs freaking out about hearing or seeing the word squeaks, he's tripping out over Plankton. Sheldon Plankton is quite the inventor, with the innocent yet evil little guy creating all sorts of gadgets, weapons, and robots. But there has been one invention of his that has popped up multiple times, and that's Robot Plankton. Making his first appearance in the second SpongeBob movie, the robot has appeared twice, with the most recent appearance being in the episode Plankton Retires. The design is pretty much identical, so I would personally say that this was an intentional Easter egg by the art team. And last but certainly not least is our final Easter egg, which can be found in the episode Potato Puff, and it happens fast. In the SpongeBob SquarePants movie from 2004, we were introduced to Princess Mindy, the daughter of the almighty King Neptune, who does her very best to help SpongeBob and Patrick throughout the movie. Now, despite being such a well-known character, we haven't really seen Mindy for quite some time, but she did recently make a reappearance in the form of an Easter egg in the season 13 episode Potato Puff. Like I said, it happens fast, but look, Mindy can be seen as a painting on the wall of a nursery, thus making for an awesome little Easter egg. In the iconic season 2 episode Sailor Mouth, SpongeBob and Patrick learn some new spicy swear words from a dumpster outside of the Krusty Krab. Though they're told by Mr. Krabs not to use these bad words, they eventually ignore the old man and get themselves into some trouble. Well, Patrick gets SpongeBob into trouble when he goes to snitch on him. Before all of this happens though, we're given this iconic scene, like this scene is iconic, where SpongeBob and Patrick play a board game called Eels and Escalators, and it makes for a really funny scene. Well, 10 seasons later, in the episode Bubble Bass's Tab, I think it's a season 12 episode, this board game, Eels and Escalators, is referenced, with it appearing on SpongeBob's internal shelf of games.
Oh, the 3 deadly challenges! I got this game! Where is it? Game of Strife, Shoots and Bladders. Oh, here it is!
As you guys know, I'm a major fan of the Steven Hillenburg era of SpongeBob, so I loved this little nod. Now guys, we're gonna head over to another episode now. Let's head over to Sammy Suckerfish. There's like 3 Easter eggs in this episode, and they're all really freaking cool. Here's the first one.
Krabs is cheap. Squidward smells.
It's true! Squidward smells great!
References to old school SpongeBob are always the best, so I love this first one, as that graffiti right there is a reference to Sailor Mouth. It says Squidward smells and Mr. Krabs is a blank, and this is identical to what SpongeBob finds on the dumpster in Sailor Mouth.
Lick up the windows, lick up the doors, lick up the ceiling, lick up the floors.
Easter egg number 2 from Sammy Suckerfish is all about the sterilized Krabby Patty, as it seems to be similar to SpongeBob's sterilized kitchen in Procrastination. Some people on Reddit said this one's an Easter egg, but I don't know, guys. This next one, though, is definitely an Easter egg.
What do you expect from a sewer dwellers convention? Table manners? Alright, you've had enough.
So this dude right here is the sewer monster, and he actually made his first appearance all the way back in like season 6, so like 20 years ago, so like 12 years ago. But in Sammy Suckerfish, he actually like randomly appears as a customer, and this is the first time we've seen him since Krabby Chronicles, so a really interesting one here. Another classic SpongeBob episode that I loved as a kid was season 2's Sandy, SpongeBob, and the Worm. This episode was pretty darn epic, with SpongeBob and Sandy teaming up and going on an adventure to find the Alaskan bullworm that has been terrorizing Bikini Bottom. Now in the end, they succeed and manage to lunge the thing off of a cliff, and for a while, it seemed like this would be the last we'd see of the Alaskan bullworm. That is, until the episode My Leg, as during the montage where SpongeBob is trying to purposefully damage Fred's leg, Fred sprinkles salt over his leg, then SpongeBob rings a bell, and the Alaskan bullworm slithers over to Fred. Pretty cool, huh? Our next episode is Sanitation Insanity. In this episode, Mr. Krabs' penny-pinching ways lands the Krusty Krab in trouble with the law, forcing him, or rather Squidward and SpongeBob, to clean all of Bikini Bottom's trash. Now, we're gonna get into the Easter eggs and trivia, of course, but I gotta be honest with you, Mr. Krabs is definitely in the wrong here. I mean, look at just how nasty the Krusty Krab is in the start of this episode.
Get in the bag! Filthy trash juice! Trash juice!
Hey, maybe we should use another garbage bag, Mr. Krabs. This one's kind of full.
Forget it, boyo! I'm not paying for another garbage bag!
You know, I used to fantasize about being able to try a real Krabby Patty, not like a fast food collab version, but a real one from the Krusty Krab. But after this episode, I'm good, I don't want one. But anyways, what starts off as a riff on Keep Bikini Bottom Beautiful, another littering themed episode, quickly turns into a chaotic adventure with a garbage truck mech. Along the way, Sanitation Insanity crams in nods to past SpongeBob episodes and broader pop culture overall. For example, early in the cleanup, SpongeBob uses his porous nature to his advantage.
Oh, all this fresh air feels great in my holes.
Now, if that sight and that sound feel familiar, it's because it's deliberately a reference to the episode Spongehenge, where wind blowing through SpongeBob's holes produced music that attracted jellyfish. This clip from Sanitation Insanity is also a callback to another older episode, Earworm, where SpongeBob's body became an instrument for a catchy song.
Keep your trap shut. But it wasn't my trap!
In fact, the brief melody SpongeBob whistles here in Sanitation Insanity is actually a familiar song, and you guys should already know. I mean, come on, it's the SpongeBob theme song itself. But as the trash collection escalates, the garbage truck SpongeBob and Squidward use actually transforms into like a full-on robotic transformer, sprouting arms and legs in parody of Transformers. This was confirmed by the production team. It's really cool. I mean, even the transformation sequence is a nod to Transformers. And supposedly, according to the team, it's also meant to be a reference to the Megazords from Power Rangers. I gotta say, seeing a mundane garbage truck become a literal robot battle monster is really cool. And there's more going on here. During the Robo Rampage, the show slips in a cameo that made any veteran fan cheer, including me. I'm a nerd and I was very happy. As the garbage bot smashes through various locations, one scene shows a shady-looking used boat dealership. And if you look closely, there's a familiar character here. If you guys didn't recognize him, the salesman right here is actually the same con man fish from Chocolate with Nuts. This character, also known as Incidental 118C, is famous for swindling SpongeBob and Patrick by faking an injury in that season 3 episode.
No self-respecting candy bar salesman would be caught dead without one of these. It's a candy bar bag, you knucklehead. Suckers.
Well, in Sanitation Insanity, he appears in New Grift, selling boatmobiles to an unsuspecting customer named Carl, only to have SpongeBob's runaway trash truck demolish his entire inventory. It's a perfect little Easter egg reimagining the con man as a sleazy used car or boat salesman, which is actually like spot on for his character. Let's head over to Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie. And as you guys can guess, and as you guys probably already know, this one's all all about Sandy Cheeks. It's really cool because it serves as an introduction to her entire family. And Sandy has a big family. There's a bunch of Easter eggs. I'm showing them all on screen now that we're gonna get into, but here's a quick little plot summary so they all make sense. But basically, this giant claw literally steals Bikini Bottom, so SpongeBob and Sandy head to Texas to save everyone. On a side note, this evil robotic villain right here, named Sue, plans to clone the citizens and sell them as toys. She basically wants to take all of Bikini Bottom and just turn them into a toy line. SpongeBob gets cloned into tiny versions of himself, but with the help of Sandy's circus family, the clones, and 2 scientists, Sandy defeats Sue and launches Bikini Bottom back into the ocean. It's a good movie, I'd watch it, and with that sorted, let's get into the Easter eggs. To kick things off, let's talk about our favorite dude, Fred. As you guys know, Fred is an iconic SpongeBob character who often always gets his leg hurt.
My leg! My leg! My leg! My leg! My leg! My leg!
You probably know him as the dude who always says, "my leg." And that's exactly what he does in the Sandy Cheeks movie, like 3 times, making for 3 Easter eggs. For one, he says it when his legs are damaged by the Krusty Krab sign.
My leg!
He also says it when he gets trampled by all of these people running for the free genetic modification paste.
Hey everybody! It's raining phase 1s! My leg again!
And his leg gets injured again during the circus performance. That one was pretty light, but this next Easter egg is even cooler. Who remembers the episode Wormy? Well, in that episode, we got this iconic and very funny stoplight gag, where the Bikini Bottomites are panicking, running around, but that doesn't stop them from stopping at a stoplight. This exact gag is referenced in the Sandy Cheeks movie during the opening when Bikini Bottom is first abducted. Here's another really cool one. If we rewind back to the episode Karate Island, SpongeBob travels off to this island and ends up getting captured by these like karate masters. Sandy warned him not to go, but he didn't listen and he went anyways. And because of this, Sandy has to step in and save the day. It's a really cool plot where it's very similar to like Kill Bill, and she even dresses like Kill Bill and has to go through like 4 floors fighting 4 different karate masters to save SpongeBob. Really good episode. As I said, she dresses like Kill Bill, as we can see right here. And in a similar scene in the Sandy Cheeks movie, she has to fight rattlesnakes, and look, she ends up dressing in the exact same outfit. Here's a side-by-side, and it's very clearly a reference. And I love it, but I love this next Easter egg even more. But for it to make sense, we have to rewind yet again and go back to the episode Band Geeks. And I mean, you gotta know this episode, right? If you're a real SpongeBob fan, you know the episode Band Geeks. If not, you're a phony. If you haven't though, don't worry. What really matters is that you've seen this scene right here.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument. Horseradish is not an instrument either.
As you just heard, Patrick asks if mayonnaise is an instrument. No, it isn't, but that line is referenced in the Sandy Cheeks movie, with Patrick saying the following line.
Get to work, you lazy octopus!
Mayonnaise a what?
This next one is really interesting. Who here has played the game Battle for Bikini Bottom? As a kid, I loved this game, and I think it's honestly one of the best SpongeBob games released. However, Titans of the Tide, the new one that just came out, is also really good. Maybe I'll do a video on like SpongeBob video game Easter eggs. Let me know in the comments if you guys would watch that. But yeah, you need to have played Battle for Bikini Bottom for this Easter egg to really make sense. But during Sandy's battle with Sue, if you look, it's very similar to when she fights her robot self in Bikini Bottom. You kind of have to see it for yourself to really make sense, and I can't play the entire scene with Sue, so here's a side-by-side and you guys just take my word for it, okay? This next one is more of a fun fact, but at the start of the Sandy Cheeks movie, we get to see a version of the SpongeBob opening where it's Sandy instead, and it turns out this isn't actually the first time that this has happened. If we go back to the episode Truth or Square, we can see what would happen if Mr. Krabs led the theme song.
Who lives in an anchor under the sea?
And we can also see what would happen if Patrick led the theme song.
Who lives like a barnacle under the sea?
Oh, and we can also see what would happen if Squidward led the theme song. Let's take a look at this as well.
Who lives in a monument under the sea?
And last but not least, there is a scene, alright, in the Sandy Cheeks movie where SpongeBob is getting cloned. And a lot of people think that this references this scene from Sleepy Time, where we see him multiply multiple times in Patrick's dream.
I can make 1,000,000 of these! Huh?
Yep.